Week 5 starts today with a Thursday night matchup with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Atlanta Falcons. This one's going to be fun on both sides of the ball. Today, we're going to look at the must-start, sneaky starts, don't want to starts from this matchup by predicting the point total, the game script, the flow of the game, and how these players could produce fantasy football points. But before we dig in, you need to click that subscribe button right now. We use these videos to help you set your lineups. We also do a lot of videos to help you with the waiver wire, along with a lot of deep dives as well. Click that button right now. Stop missing out. Ric Flair's watching you right here. Don't disappoint him. But to start things off, we're looking at a game with a 44 over-under, and we're looking at their last 3 games. 2 of the last 3 times they have hit the over, and you're looking at the point totals in their matchups all in 2023, and they can shoot it out and they can stifle it. And when you really think about this matchup, there's a good chance that it could go either way. Both teams are very creative defensively. Atlanta's got a stout defense. This could be a game where it goes under, but both teams got firepower on offense, so this could be a game where it goes over. And Vegas does not have a super low implied point total. It's kind of right there in the middle. And you're looking at other books, 40, 45, in that middle range of the 40s there. They're saying with that over-under that it could go either way. And they're trying to be in the middle so they can get money to go in both ways, so they can react to where the money's flowing there. But when we're looking at the potential matchup here, we're looking at a game that'll probably score in the 40s that could surprise us either way with the outcome here when it comes to projected fantasy production with these players. Really, it's on the quarterback play. Can they connect downfield? Can they take advantage of those opportunities when the defense allows it? Can that happen to push the game script? And if the game script gets pushed, then it's just going to be a shootout from there. One team could get up, another team's got to shoot it out. That's another thing we could look at here, because we got some very creative defenses here that could trick things up here. And also, it's on a short week. I don't want to be going up against that creative Tampa defense on a short week. That could be tough. Atlanta's defense, I don't want to go up against them on a short week. This is going to be a fun matchup because it could go either way. That's what makes it fun. And you're looking at what these teams have been doing here as of late. Both of them has been able to put up points. Both of them have been able to score in the 20s. Tampa Bay has 2 games in the 30s against the Washington Commanders week 1 against Jaden Daniels' first ever career game. Eagles, after being decimated on offense, so they were able to road dog them. They lost to the Broncos though, so that was an interesting loss. The Falcons lost to the Steelers and Chiefs. The Falcons had a tough time against that Steelers defense, and the Chiefs defense gave them a tough time as well. So if they can stifle the passing offense, they can hold down Drake London and company, it could be a low-scoring affair for the Falcons. However, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers can put up them points. And they're saying, hey, we'll at least give you a 20 spot. Even in a tight matchup against the Lions, we put up a 20 spot. The Falcons will push for that. But again, they can get road dogged on the offensive side of the ball. But it's all about these quarterbacks. It is about these quarterbacks in this matchup. Baker Mayfield loves to go YOLO. He loves to go deep with it. He loves the volume. Chris Godwin's been looking good. Cousins has some options. But there have been some moments where the passing volume, the yardage totals, was not racking up this year. It has been off and on. He has been looking a little bit better as of late, but we're also on a short week. This short week could allow for these defenses to just overcome. However, this short week could allow for these quarterbacks to exploit some holes. That is the big story going in to Thursday night here. And that is a big story for the fantasy production. But you're looking at the Bucs against the run. They're a little bit above average. And Brian Robinson, Jahmyr Gibbs, Saquon Barkley, always able to score on them. And the thing about these running backs too, especially Gibbs and Barkley, they were getting it done in the passing game. So maybe the Falcons need to be looking at Bijan Robinson in the passing game, getting him some checkdowns, getting him the ball in space. Tyler Algier, banging it up the gut. Sneaky play, but not a play that I'm relying on in traditional redraft leagues. Bijan Robinson when you're really looking at the potential of this matchup here, I doubt he gets you less than 10 PPR fantasy points. Him hitting RB1 potential means he needs to break off a run. He's due for a touchdown. He's due for some opportunities here to go his way. That could allow him to get his fantasy points to buoy up a little bit. I look for it to be steady Eddie around 13 to 16, kind of like where he's been at the whole season. But a touchdown can get him over the cliff. A couple extra catches and a big play, a big splash run could get him over the cliff in this matchup. We're looking at the wide receivers here. Tampa Bay is about league average, around there, allowing fantasy points to wide receivers. They've been in some weird matchups, though. You went against Philly last week, who was decimated at wide receiver. You went against Denver, a slower game script offense, but they were able to get ahead on you and beat you. You also went against Detroit. That was a nasty matchup. And you went against Washington in Jane Daniels' first game. So I can really slice it and tell you a story on why these game scripts aren't the greatest predictor of what could potentially happen, but they're also good against the pass. Last year, they were more of a pass funnel. Maybe Atlanta looks at what they did last year and what they wanted to do last year, and maybe they're trying to implement that. Also, Drake London has been getting a lot of targets lately. I think they're going to at least try that well early to see what happens and move on from there. Darnell Mooney's got upside. He'll have upside in any given matchup. He is a coin flip player. So if you ask me, who do I start? Darnell Mooney or this guy? Usually it's probably going to be a coin flip situation. Wide receivers, once you get a certain way down the rankings, it's usually just to pick him, whatever happens in that matchup. But he's going to be good, probably about 5 targets or so in this game. Ray McLeod might get some targets underneath. He is the security blanket for Kirk Cousins. That's one of the reasons why Kyle Pitts has been very ambiguous this year. Ray McLeod soaking up targets underneath, getting a 20% target share, making it hard for the tight end to get any work, considering Darnell Mooney and Drake London also getting a 20+% target share. That being said, Ray McLeod, if Tampa Bay can clamp things down, you might see him get a few extra targets underneath. Maybe if you're in a deeper league, maybe if you're hurting, you look at him as well. Now we're looking at Kyle Pitts, and Kyle Pitts is just going to Kyle Pitts. The matchup, whatever's going on in the game, it doesn't matter. It just matters if he connects on that big play, if he gets a couple extra targets, if things are going his way in that matchup, if something breaks down. And that's the tight end position overall in the NFL. Go look at the fantasy scoring at tight end. Now, if you ask me whether or not to start Kyle Pitts, I mean, you can if you want. He runs a lot of routes. It is what it is. He runs more routes than a lot of tight ends. He is also very ambiguous from week to week, but that's with a lot of tight ends, and tight end is very ambiguous week to week. And that's how it is. It's even more this year. So really, a tight end like this, you like because he's getting work and opportunity due to the routes ran, but you're also very suspect on due to him not scoring fantasy production. It's a coin flip scenario. It's like that with 95% of the tight ends in the NFL, and that's really how the game is played. And tight ends really are not real for fantasy football anymore. And we're looking at the running backs for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and it's a headache here when you're projecting out for their games for the running back position. And that's because Bucky Irving's good, and he's very efficient with the ball in his hands. Eventually, he's going to supplant Rachaad White and get all the workload. That is eventually going to happen. But Rachaad White is good in certain realms in pass protection, catching the ball in the backfield. They probably can use him in more packages because he's got a bigger history in the offense. He's been there longer. That being said, Rachaad White's still going to get some opportunities. They split up the touches damn near evenly last week. It's probably going to be like that. They say that in the media every week. They say they're going to split it up. They want these backs fresh for the end of the season, which is smart football-wise. Fantasy football-wise, you kind of don't want that. It's a coin flip if you have both these running backs. A lot of people have both these running backs. I get that question a lot. Who would I start between the two? I would mix it up between leagues. If I had them both on teams in multiple leagues, I would be flipping that coin. And that's how I see it because of the touches and how they're using this offense. I like Bucky Irving better for the long term, but that doesn't matter in the short term in one game. All it takes is for the running back to cross the goal line. All it takes is for that running back to connect on a couple extra passes out of the backfield, get a little extra space, and that's just the luck of the draw sometimes here. We just have to keep watching this backfield. If you got to start one, see what happens here, and let the chips roll where they may. But we're looking at the wide receivers. I believe everybody's probably starting Chris Godwin. It's hard to sit him. Mike Evans looked like he was on the injury report from what I saw, but is going to be fine. Looks like you're probably going to roll with both Tampa Bay wide receivers. Atlanta's good on defense. However, they're allowing more than league average by 14.5% on fantasy production to wide receivers. That being said, there's some upside here. They're allowing double-digit PPR fantasy points to a wide receiver in every game, from Rachaad to George Pickens, Devonta Smith to Rashee Rice. Rashee Rice torched him. Devonta Smith did well. One of these wide receivers are going to do something. The other one's probably going to be all right. So it's probably going to be a pick-em. Chris Godwin's going to get that volume. Mike Evans is going to get that deep ball. It all matters if Mike Evans can bring in the deep ball. If Baker Mayfield can connect downfield. Those are YOLO plays. Those are plays that can hit on any given week. You will see, but he's also getting a good target share at 23%. You gotta love the ADA at 9.7 for him. And then Chris Godwin just racking up targets. One of the most productive wide receivers in the league. You're definitely starting both these wide receivers because that's what you do week to week no matter what. The matchup saying, hey, you're just going to have to take that gamble because if the over gets pushed, both of them could go nuclear. If it's more of an under game, maybe one hits and the other one so-so, but that's just how the cookie crumbles. Cade Otton's a tight end you're looking at. He's a tight end that's getting volume and opportunities, and he's in a good matchup here with a game script that could break, and you're starting him, and he's a tight end, and tight ends are going to tight end. And you know I hate tight ends, and I'm going to say the same thing about tight ends, and I'm always going to keep it real about tight ends. They are coin flips. They can go up and down. Cade Otton's going to get opportunities where he can score his first touchdown of the season. That's something to look at here. There's upside for that. He's getting targets. He's getting opportunities. He's running a lot of routes. A 16% target share is a lot in this offense considering you got Chris Godwin and Mike Evans soaking over 50% of the targets. And on top of that, you're throwing the ball a lot to the running backs. So he's getting used a fair amount in this offense considering the context of how this offense works. Cade Otton is good for fantasy football considering he's going to give you that up and down production. He's at a reduced cost compared to the other guys you paid up for that production. Cade Otton, again, tight end. Tight end's going to tight end. Tight ends are coin flips, but compared to the other tight ends in this week, you may want to look at him more than some of those other jabronis. But that is the matchup for Thursday night. There's going to be some good ball played tonight. I suggest you watch it. Could be fun on the defensive side of the ball, but it could also break and allow scoring to go off. We saw that in their last three matchups where it was either really tight or went off for almost 50 total points. That being said, we got to watch this matchup. It could go either way. That's why I was wishy-washy, because they've been wishy-washy, and that was the trend, especially recently. And all three of those games were recent in the last year and a half. That being said, we got numbers here to go off of, and we got to watch these players. One or two of these players are going to go off, and probably a bunch of them that we like or not, and it's all going to be a pick-em. You roll the dice, see what happens. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Make sure to hit that subscribe button on the way out. One thing for watching. Catch you on the next video.